Hey guys and girls, thanks for joining me today. I've got a wonderful update, a new video to illustrate a Viltrox monitor. That's the A1, the 7-inch version. Now previously I did a video on the 6-inch version, which I was quite happy with at the time. After several months of using that though, I did come up with a little glitch. The glitch was just that it was sort of zooming in and out in the monitor, not the actual camera. It was actually the monitor was zooming in and out in itself, and I couldn't get it to stop doing that. Look, I've never had trouble with Viltrox products ever before, so it was a bit of a shock, but I communicated with the company and they decided that it was very easy for me just to return it to them and they'll either repair it or replace it, whatever I wanted. And I said, okay, look, I tell you what, we'll do that, but how about I'll return it to you and you give me a different model. You give me the 7-inch version instead of the 6-inch version, because I think that's got some extra little features, and I think that if I'm going to exchange it anyway and put that money towards something else, I may as well put it towards a bit of an upgrade. So only through circumstance did I decide to upgrade to a 7-inch version. And I say upgrade because there are actually some pretty cool features in the 7-inch version that the 6-inch didn't have. So we'll go through that and I'll describe all the little features it does have and how cool that is. Firstly, of course, I'll just show you the box that it came in. So it's not really an unboxing per se, but I will briefly go through the box itself and what comes in it, and then I'll show you some operation of this unit. Now, this is it here. It's the DC A1. It's a wonderful looking little unit, and it comes in a terrific box that keeps it safe and tidy. So it's well presented. The printing is beautiful. They've done a great job on the presentation. I really like the silver print on it as well. I think that looks very attractive. So once you've opened the box, you end up with this item here, and this is the little Viltrox case that it comes in, all kit and caboodle in there. And it's a great case because it's a padded case, keeps it safe and strong. You don't have to worry about breaking anything. You're not going to scratch or damage it in this. It'll take quite a knock around. So it's a brilliant case. I'd definitely say keep the case and keep it in this because you've got a little carry handle. It's zipped up to keep it safe and secure. I think it's a great item. So I've just unzipped it now to show you what it looks like when you open her up. And as you open it up, what you see here is in the top you have a little mount with a zip and this little pouch. In that pouch you have various cables. So you have your HDMI full size, you have a micro HDMI that provides you a USB charging cable as well, and so everything's accommodated in there. You're ready to go with all your gear you need. Apart from that, they also provide you with a wonderful mount. Now I'm going to speak quite a bit about that mount in just a minute because that's a vast improvement. And they give you another battery. Now the battery here is the 550 size. It's the MP like Sony style battery, and it's a great little unit. This is actually the Viltrox branded one, being white. And what I like about this battery is it's a high-end quality battery, but apart from that you've got a USB charging port, and I think the USB charging port's a brilliant addition because it means you can charge it on the go. So should you be traveling in your car, you've forgotten to charge it previously, on the way to the gig, you can charge it as you drive there and it's all topped up ready to go. Same with coming back after a job. If you've got other jobs to go to or you're going to need it again the next day, you can charge it on the way home. And it's just wonderful convenience to charge it via USB as well as a proper charging arrangement that you may have, which I do. I have 8 charging battery stations for these type of batteries because I have so many of them. I have about 16 of this size. So having another one that'll fit into those chargers is great, but the USB is also a wonderful little option too. So that's the little battery they give you, is it gets you going. And look, it's a smaller battery than what I'm accustomed to using, but any battery is a great battery. When you're stuck in the job and you're running low on one, you've got something else to back up to, that's fantastic. So it's a great option. The actual unit itself here, I'm going to illustrate for you. One of my favourite features is this wonderful pop-up screen it has. So it's a sunscreen protector, and that's a fantastic unit. Look at the wonderful protection that's going to give. If you're outside doing a job and it's a very bright sunny day, apart from the fact this thing has 2,800 nits of brightness, which means it's incredibly bright. So on a sunny day, you're definitely going to be able to still see all the action. You're not going to be worried about visibility, but the sunshade just makes it a little bit easier as well. So having a sunshade that just folds away as easy as that and clips away and creates no room or issue at all having it in the case or taking it with you is fantastic. Now, it's a great protector for the screen as well, but I'm just going to take it off now because, let's face it, I'm inside in a controlled environment. I'm not going to have any issue with sun flaring all over the screen. So let me just take that off. So it is a little bit tight. You've got to give it a bit of a firm little pull to get it off, but it does come off. And once it's off, it's all very good. I'll just put that aside for now. So Here's the Viltrox monitor. I've actually put on a screen protector, that little film of plastic. Sometimes you have them on your mobile phones. They actually provide that with this kit. So it comes in the kit with a screen protector. So I've used it because, you know, anything that helps protect the glass there, that's going to be an advantage, isn't it? So it stops it getting scratched, and even if the screen cover gets scratched, you can just peel that off and put a new one on. So that way your monitor's going to last pretty much forever, isn't it? Some of the features I do like about the unit is, of course, it has USB port here for doing all your particular LUTs you want to add in, and you've got a little charging port there too, so you can power it continually with a USB cable. So that's also a great option. Another thing I like about it is it has a specifically dedicated on-off switch. So previously you'd just like compress a button and wait a few seconds and it'd come on. I didn't like that compression button thing. I've always found that a little bit frustrating. I like to know that when I turn it on, I have a battery in, that light will come on green, and then I know it's definitely turned on and ready to go. That can be very reassuring, and it's nice to have that tactile feel of an actual button that clicks. Here you have also a large dial button as well, which helps you through your menu system. So as you're using that, you can scroll up and down and make your options, and it presses in and out to activate, sort of like a mouse if you like. So think of it like a little mouse on the side of the side of your monitor, and I think that's a great option. You have also, of course, dedicated buttons here which you can have allocated for you, like your histogram, your focus peaking, you know, false colors, or whatever options you want. And by having them listed 1, 2, 3, 4, you can definitely find them very quickly, and it's just great to have that immediate setting without going through a menu system. You can go through the menu system using this and your dial, and of course you've also got a wonderful touch screen feature. So you've got touch screen, you've got buttons, you've got a dial, you've got so many options to find your menus. I reckon it's great that they give you so many choices. So that makes it a very professional unit. Now on the back, when we're looking at the unit on the back here, what you will notice here is you'll notice that there's these vents here for cooling. So there is internal fans that keeps the air flowing through the unit and stops any chance of it overheating. After all, 2,800 nits of power coming out of this, that's a lot of lighting, and it can get very hot. So having the option of cooling it, you've got 3 different energies of fan. So you've got a low, a medium and a high fan. You make it how you want it according to the noise levels in the room. If you need it really quiet, just have it on low or off, but if it's outside and there's ambient noise going on anyway, you'd never hear the monitor's fan then, so you can have it on medium or high if you want, to guarantee it doesn't overheat and get in any trouble. So that's pretty cool. Another feature I like about it is the actual battery compartment it has here. Now I'm going to use one of my large batteries simply because I don't want this running out on me halfway through the demonstration. So to make sure it'll last, I'm going to put this battery in. Now it has a great feature where it has a locking button. So to take the battery out, you release it by the button. To put it in, lock it in. Once that battery is in and it's locked and you're confident it's in there, that's going to stay in there forever because it's actually locked in. It only releases it when you press the button and pull. So that way it doesn't just fall out. So I think that's terrific. It's very reassuring that no matter how you shake that around, the battery's not going to come out. So that's very confidence inspiring. So as I say, I mentioned about the light turning on. Here it is now, and you can see that when I turn the button on, the little green light appears. I hope you can just pick that up. And of course you can see the monitor firing up as we speak. Now it's not going to display anything just yet because after all it's not attached to the camera yet, so it's got no information to feed in. So we're going to sort that out in just a sec, okay? So I'll just turn that off until I'm completely ready, and I'll put the monitor down and I'll put my little case aside. And there is something else I wanted to show you which I was very impressed with, and that is the new mount that comes with it. Now I say new mount, well it had a mount previously and it was pretty much the same structural look, but the beauty of this one is it's slightly modified now, and what we have is it's aluminium. So the previous one was plastic. Now I'm sure it was quite robust plastic and fully functional, but just to have the aluminium metallic feel to this makes it so much more, you know, durable, and it feels more professional in the hand. Another great feature it has, of course, is that locking pin. So when you put it into the monitor, at the bottom of the monitor these locking pin holes, just to make sure that it doesn't swivel around on you when you least want it to. So that's a great feature, the little locking pin. Apart from that, it also has a new feature here, which is rather than having to rely on a Allen key, they now give you a little thumb screw that you can use to adjust the angle and the tension. So you can make it as firm as you like. you can make it as soft as you like, just with the use of your thumbs. And I think that's a wonderful feature because it's something that you're quick and on the go. And let's face it, you don't always have the exact right Allen key right on hand or in your pocket. You don't have to fish around for it in the middle of filming. So isn't it nice that you can actually make an immediate adjustment, and all you have to do is just have a little twist of that little thumb screw. So I think that's a terrific idea. I'm very happy with that, and I just wanted to run you through that little item, which I think is a little brilliant. So let me just attach this to the monitor. Just screws in very quickly. Make sure it's locked in there. Yep, that's it. Now it won't turn or twist unless you want it to turn or twist. So let's put this on the camera and we'll have a look, and I'll fire it up and you'll see how it all appears. So I'm going to use, for illustrations purposes, my Z9 there. That's handy and convenient. I'm actually filming with my Z6 at the moment, and it's got a 7-inch monitor on that, but it's the Aperture brand one. So here we have a little base I can use for my camera. It's a little sturdy little mount, and I'll just attach that and make sure it's steady and tight. There it is. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. I just adjust the movement and plane of that. I have a swiveling little mount, little Arco Swiss mount there, and that works really well. So let me put the monitor on top. Now before I do put the monitor on top, I'll illustrate that there are 2 HDMI ports here. Now you might think, well, you need 2 HDMI ports for. Well, the beauty of this is you've got one from the feed of the camera going in to the monitor, so you can see what's going on in the camera. But then you have an outer one as well, and the outer HDMI can then be attached to a second monitor. Now that second monitor could be like a TV with HDMI. You can have a great big screen up there for the talent, the play people, the actors or whoever it may be, models, to see what's going on. So that's great for them to see their composition and see how they look and how they're performing. That's an option you can use it for. So I thought that was a great option. So I'm just going to put into the input. Yep, make sure I got it the right way around. That's in. It's a full-size HDMI. So you're going to get excellent results. It's just mimic and copy everything in the camera. So I'm going to turn this on now, and when I turn the power on the actual unit, sorry, just seeing everything backwards, so it's all a bit tricky. I can see it's all starting to fire up. I'll just turn it around slightly. You can see the little green light appear, so you know it's all functioning and on. And there we are. We're already up and going with a nice image there. So I just thought I'd illustrate that this thing does work wonderfully. Tighten it up, as I say, is how you want. And now we've got a great image and you can see what's happening. So right now you can just almost see the base of my camera monitor. And you can see my little cabinet behind there. So I just wanted to show you that it does function very well and looks great. So it's very big, isn't it? I mean, it's actually quite a very large monitor. I'm actually quite impressed with that. So I can turn it around for myself to have a look just here. I can spin it around, of course, and now I'm seeing everything and you're seeing nothing. That doesn't help you very much, so let me turn it back around so you can get a look. So there you go. You can see it's fully functional and that's marvelous. Now what options do we have here? Well, just so I can share that with you, I'm just going to have a look. But you can see the various features you've got here. False colors, for example. Your full histogram. We just go back to standard. And I mentioned about the function wheel you have. So you can use your function wheel to get the various different menu features. As you can see, you've got full touchscreen. So if you want to go into your menus, you can do that as well. Just trying to illustrate for you there what's going on as best I can. But as you can see, you've got various options for menus, and I think the whole thing's just brilliant. I'm just loving all your choices. I think it's a great system. So yeah, you've got so many things to take advantage of here. Let's just run through some of them. Excuse me if I look at some of my notes when I talk to you about it. But you've got color space, of course, with your 3D LUTs. You've got audio columns, so you can see the volume going up and down. You've got your safe area protection. You can do your ratio changes. Image flip, which is very handy. So what's the idea of image flip? Well, often when you're looking into a monitor like I am now, and you want to point to something, everything's left is right. It's a mirror image, which is very frustrating. So I want to, for example, point to the door. Well, I see my arm going the opposite direction. It's very exasperating. So you can flip that around so that your left is actually looking left to you and your right is looking right. It just sort of makes more mental sense rather than looking at that mirror image. So having the option of sweeping that around and flipping it is very convenient. You've also got your full waveform. You've got zooming in and out, so you can make, concentrate right in on a subject. You've got grid lines, of course, for composition. Color temperature, which is fantastic. You've got your false colors. You've got, what else we've got here? We've got focus peaking for manual focus, which is great. So you can choose the colors, it can be red, blue, green, whatever. And then you can, of course, as you're manually focusing the camera, you can see the shift in that focus peaking, highlighting, and that helps you get your focus in. You've got exposure, you can make this incredibly bright. As I say, it goes up to 2,800 nits of brightness, which ends up looking like a flashlight in front of you. So you'd only use that in a very extremely bright day, turn it up that much. I have it at the moment, I think it's gone around 1,000. So 1,000 nits at the moment in that tone is fine. If I go outside, I can crank it up to 3 times that nearly. We've also got histogram, of course, vector scope, and pixel to pixel mapping. So I think this is just a wonderful option. So many choices that you can use this for. I'm very impressed. So I'd just like to say I'm happy I've upgraded, really. I think it was a terrific idea to do that. We'll just turn some of these options off so we go back to a normal sort of looking image. And I'm very happy with how this is working. I think it's wonderful for both photo and video uses. Each niche has its own requirements, own features that are going to be most useful to you. Perhaps with photo, the zebra highlights are very good for manual focusing, and exposure and composition is great with your grids. And for video, of course, it's awesome for everything. Being able to see your volume levels, for example, a full histoscope, be able to see all your proper exposures and be able to have it as clean and bright as you need it to be is wonderful to have all those options. So modern technology is brilliant today. This is no exception, and it's just a very fine unit from Viltrox, and I'm very proud to own it, and I think it's marvellous. Some other minor features you might find interesting about this unit is, of course, you do have also an ability to add accessories to it. So you can see there that you have some nice countersunk mounts for either 1/4 or 3/8 threads. So that's handy if you want to add a microphone or some accessory onto this. Well, you still can do so. So that's terrific. Or providing you want to mount it and you need it vertically for some reason, so instead of horizontal. You might be doing some sort of a TikTok or YouTube video of some sort, or Instagram where you're shooting everything vertically. That could be a useful option for mounting, but more advantage for me than that is just to be able to put something in there like an additional item, like a microphone or something, and that just frees up the camera body a bit more. So that's a handy little feature. I'm very impressed with this unit, and I think anybody who bought one would be very happy with it. There's really no feature it is lacking in any way, so you want for nothing. Okay, so that's all for the monitor at the moment. I mean, I have done another video on the 6-inch version, which is very similar in features. So if you want to refresh yourself on that for some more details, you're welcome to do so. Viltrox also have a wonderful tutorial video on their unit. So you can go into YouTube and have a look at that, and they'll run you through professionally all the little features and how to operate the menu system if you need to see that. I find that a lot of these items, it's all about just trial and error. Put it on your camera, start pressing some buttons and twisting some dials, and you'll soon work out where everything is and what it does. So just give yourself some time before a professional event where you can experiment with these units and make sure you're very comfortable with them. So I'd like to move on from the monitor and illustrate to you some small form factor light stands. Now everybody loves using a tripod or a light stand in the right application. You've got a large studio or you're outside and you've got plenty of space. It's a safe environment, you can control it. Having your tripods out or your light stands is fine, and they'll certainly take a lot of weight and a lot of heavy gear, and they're very useful companion in your shooting. However, there are times when you're in a small environment, maybe it's a modest studio of volume, small room, or a tight area, it might be in a corridor or something like that, or a stairwell, and you're trying to do photos and videos, and having a massive tripod and or light stand is just, well, it's very dangerous and impractical and blocks everything. I mean, there's nothing worse than a bad trip hazard. I'll show you some pictures up on the screen just here showing you how large and how cumbersome these items can be. So in order to fix that problem and have something a little bit more modest in size, I was illustrating just before with I had the camera on the monitor, and I used a little metal platform to keep everything still and safe. And I'm going to run you through some of those that I have of my own that I've manufactured. So I'm just going to show you, here's a small modest one. This probably weighs, I don't know, about I'd say 700 grams or thereabouts. You can see here I've attached one of these leaf roto threaded extending poles. They're very useful. If you've got something down low profile, It's not needing to be high up in the air. Let's say you're putting it on a table as I am right now. So sometimes it's very useful to use whatever's around you. So if the furniture around you is a table and you can mount that on the table, that's a nice sturdy platform on that table. It won't damage it because you put foam rubber or felt or something on the bottom, and that's just nice and sturdy platform for some item you're using for photography. Now what items might they be? Well, let me illustrate. Here I have a speed light. This is a Nikon 910 speed light, and I can attach it to this little mount I have arranged here. And if I do this here, I'll just screw that on tight so it's there, and I'll just maneuver that around so it's all exactly how I want it. There we go. And here we have it, and now you can see in its profile what we're looking at. And that can be very, very useful in something like a staircase. So if you're able to put this on top of a stairwell, and you have a subject down below at the bottom of the stairs, you want to backlight them. You can have coloured gels on these. You can have red, green, blue, gold, whatever colour you want, and you get a beautiful backlit glow. And it'd be fantastic as a wedding photographer to have those sort of staircase shots. Can be quite beautiful. Apart from that, it's also very useful if you just have furniture like bookshelves, like cupboards, a staircase or whatever it is, where you can put something like this up on a desk or something, and it gets it off the ground, but it's a compact little unit. It doesn't take up a big footprint. No one's tripping over it, but you still get all the benefit of your lights. So that can be very useful. So these little platforms here, whether you use it for a light, use it for a microphone, or you use it for one of those Viltrox monitors that I've shown you recently. It doesn't matter what you use it for, but the fact that you've got something that's out of the way, compact and sturdy now. That's actually very sturdy. You'd be surprised just how capable that is. So that's one item, but that's a very modest item. So I'll just put that one down now, and I'll show you a larger unit. So let's have a look at the next size up, and that weighs about twice as much. It's well over a kilo. I'd say about 1,200 grams, that plate. See, again, I've got the felt and rubber combination on the bottom to make sure it doesn't hurt anything, doesn't scratch. But this is a little bit bigger, a little bit broader platform. It'd be about 9 inches by 4.5 inches, and it's about 7 to 10 mils plate cast iron. And what I can do is I can drill a hole in the middle, and I can put that threaded bar in again. So I'll just illustrate that again so you know what's going on. Every one of these little units I show you has the 3/8 threaded bar. So you'll see it here as I place that down. You can see the threaded bar there. And I've simply drilled a hole, tapped 3/8, and then put that in with a bit of super glue just to make sure it sets there. You can use Loctite if you like to as a strong seal threader. But this here is a great little platform and unit for mounting all sorts of apparatus on. You can put a ball head on that or a fluid head. You can put one of these extension poles. You can put any sort of arrangement you like on that, because 3/8 is very, very common for all your photography and videography equipment. So I'm just putting this little adjustment pole on that gives me some options. And what I can do is, even on something as modest as this is very excellent even for your camera. So I'm going to put my Z9 on that, and that's got the 35 to 150 lens on it, and that's more than capable of supporting that. That's not a problem. That's not going over anyway. Hurry up. In fact, I'd really have to smack that hard to get that to topple over. So that's actually very, very secure. Obviously, it's always good to work with the platform of the base. So if you've got something extending forward this way, have it long ways. Don't have it this way, like that. That's more likely to topple over. Not necessarily will, but it's more likely to. So if you have everything as it should be proportionally, that's going to be very strong. So I'll just make sure that's in firm. Right, I'll bring it back around so you can see what's going on. And there you go. And of course, it's fully adjustable with that ball head. You can have a stronger ball head than this if you're wanting something a lot more stable and more capable. But this, I'm illustrating for you here that you can use this, and this is not toppling over easy. But look, that's something great. You can put that on a bookcase, on a tabletop, stairwell, whatever you need, and you've got a stable video or photo platform that takes up next to no space. There's no trip hazard factor. So tripods are magnificent. Yes, they take a lot more strength. A light stand is fantastic for a big heavy light up high, but sometimes you don't need to have all that extra accessories with you. You just need somewhere to place something safely, and these little platforms can be very useful for that. So I'll just take that off because I've got other things to show you, and we'll put that one down now, and we'll go for the larger size. So this large one here, this is actually now getting quite heavy now. We're talking probably 2 kilos. Now this is a large steel plate, cast iron under that, and I've got rubber to make sure that it doesn't scratch or damage anything, and it's grippy so it doesn't slide off. And on the top, it's actually 2 layers. So there's cast iron layer, and then also I have a plywood timber layer on top. Now, why have I got plywood timber? Well, look, I'll tell you why I've got the plywood. If I need to add anything to this, I will need maybe some extra stands to mount things. I might want to put something like this in to grip and hold a microphone or something. I've got something I can screw into the timber, because obviously screwing into cast iron in a hurry is very difficult. So it just gives me options should I wish it. I'll probably never use it, but it's there as a choice that I could. So what am I going to use something like this? This is actually very strong and heavy, as I say. This is something I would put on the floor. I mean, I would put this medium-sized one on the floor, no trouble at all, and have flashes or a camera or something on that. That's very, very capable. But this one is great for super strength stuff. So what am I illustrating with that? Well, let me give you an example. I'll have to use this item here to just make it a bit quicker if I pinch this. So I'm just unscrewing that. You can see it's actually quite quick to put from one thing to another. It doesn't take very long. A lot of my choices in illustrations right now will simply be because I am sitting down on a table and I can't show you something that's 5 feet off the ground. Obviously that's very impractical for me right now. But what I can illustrate is here I have a LED light panel. This is 4 small LED light panels, modular system. They're aperture Araman 198s, and there's 4 of them. And I have various size batteries on them, as you can see, Sony batteries, and they'll power it fine. So I just wanted to battery it up so you knew about the actual weight, and you knew I wasn't joking that this actually will work. So you can see here everything is functioning. It's all fully functioning. One of these is color temperature related, so I'll just correct that to make it a bit more accurate. And so I'll put this one on. I don't want to blind you with the light, but I do want to show you that it does actually work. So there we go, and here we have it. So I can have this light panel. This actually is very sturdy. That is not fallen over. This is twice the weight here that it is up here, so it's very, very stable. But still, you could put this onto a table. You could put it on a coffee table, you could put it up on a bookcase, you could put it on a stairwell and have some elevation. And of course these things are fully adjustable and you don't have to have one. Just as I have 1, 2, another 2 sets of 2 here, you can make this as tall as you want. Now I can't illustrate that very easily now, but I'm sure you get the idea. They just modularly stack on. So if I wanted that 5 feet high and have that on the ground, I can do that and it will still function 100% well. To make it more practical though, if you are going to go up very high, you can actually use your monopod. Now these monopods always come with the little rubber stopper on the bottom. So traditionally, and what do you reckon? It's a 3/8 thread, isn't it? As the most professional ones will have. So if you've got a 3/8 thread little rubber mount to stop you damaging the environment, you can unscrew that and you use that thread onto this. So how does that work? Well, let me take all this off so it's safe and I don't end up breaking anything and making an embarrassment of myself here. Just put that down. Unscrew this one. Try and be as quick as I can. Get your monopod, and this is a brilliant monopod. This is a Leofrodo monopod. It's a heavy duty one, so it's actually quite thick. So the actual sturdiness of the graphite composite is really there. It's super, super strong. And if I put this one in, all you have to do is screw it into the 3/8 thread that's already there. I've got a 3/8 thread in the mount, 3/8 thread inside the monopod, and there you have it. I can have this as tall as I want. So let me just illustrate how tall this goes. So I'm going to put this down on the ground. I'm just going to extend that up. Excuse me a minute while I just make all the appropriate adjustments. And as you can see here, I can go as high as I want. I can get this thing going very, very high. In fact, you won't even see how high this goes. Right, that's going, I'd say, 6 feet off the ground, minimum. So I can have it up that high if I want, but for illustration purposes here, I'm just going to drop that down a bit so you can see what I'm doing. And so again, I can put this light, I'll just turn it off now because I've illustrated the point that the batteries work and it's not dummy batteries, they're real. I'll put this on here. Excuse me if I look a bit awkward, it's because I'm doing everything from the back and not really seeing what I'm doing very well. But here you can see this is actually quite high. That is actually very, very sturdy just on the ground as it is. Once that settles from a little bit of a shake, it's actually quite capable. I have extra weights I can use, like weight lifting discs and so on, or sandbags, metal plates that I can add to that if I want more weight down low, because I am using a heavy light unit. But for general purpose, for having either, for example, a camera up there like this Z9 or and a more modest LED light panel, this is actually a great setup. So I just thought I'd run you through how this all works, and that it is actually quite capable to put something of a decent weight in there. And it's very versatile with a small footprint. Let's just have a look at that again, that small footprint I was just telling you about. I'll bring this up, fold it all down so it all looks sensible to you. There we go. And you can see the unit there, and there's the ball head on top. But the actual footprint of this is very modest. See the footprint there? It's probably about 9 to 10 inches square. And what that means is that it's not a trip hazard as a tripod is. So it's still fully functional like a light stand, but without the problem of having legs everywhere in every direction. Maybe blocking up your room, making it awkward to get around. Sure, you know, you yourself know where everything is. You can step over and around it, but it's still as awkward as hell. Stepping around this is only a 8-inch diameter little block. It is no object at all, and it's not coming out on various angles and taking up a lot of space. So I use this personally in the corner of my room, and I can have that right in the little corner with my lights set up on it, a few extra weights below to make sure it's secure, and it's tucked right away out of sight and out of mind. And there's no issues with taking up a lot of space. I can leave it there set up whenever I want for the light. I just turn the lights on, they're already plugged in, ready to go. And this item here is a magnificent system to mount my lights to without having to worry about fiddling around with leg extensions and tripods. It's just one unit up and down for height adjustment, and it's very, very stable and capable. So sometimes that small footprint factor is a lot more important than you might appreciate, particularly in confined areas, and it saves a lot of safety worries and concerns. So if you can make your environment safe, you can save a lot of space. Well, I highly recommend you do so. And have these sort of little accessories you can make in your garage. Like I think of it as a fun project. A lot of people think, oh, what a nuisance, you have to make. It's not a big deal. If you want to buy them, you can go on eBay and you can buy things like this, no problem at all. Just spend your $200, $300, $400 on them. But I made most of these things for about $40 or $50. And I've had fun as a project doing it. So it's up to you whether you feel it's fun and whether you have the tools at home. I do, so unfortunately I was just utilising the resources that I had and the metal scraps that I found around. But you can go to a metal scrapyard and I'm sure you can pick up some cast iron plates and steel plates very, very cheaply and use them, and you've got something pretty much for nothing. So whether you buy them or you make them, enjoy them, use them, because the less volume you take up around, the less trip hazard you got, the safer your workplace, and the more comfortable everybody feels, you and the talent around you. So thank you very much for your time. That's really all I need to cover today. The last thing I'd like to talk about is a Nikon specific subject, and that is of course the latest release of the sister lens to the recent 24-70 S line lens, the 2.8, and they have a Mark II version of that now, which is faster, lighter, better autofocusing, and just generally a better, beautiful item. They now have the 70-200 version Mark II coming out, and of course that is again lighter, faster, better focusing motors, and much more modernly equipped item. So I think that's a brilliant option. Thank you, Nikon, for constantly thinking about us and upgrading your products. Yeah, sure, it's a bit disappointing if you've spent a lot of money recently on a Mark I version of either of these lenses. You think, damn, if only I held out and bought the Mark II. But you can sell them secondhand on eBay, get some money, and trade up should you wish to. It's always nice to have the latest product, and especially if you're a working professional, you're doing, say, weddings, for example, full-time or events, that 24-70 Mark II is going to be fantastic. If you've got, you're doing mostly sports action, for example, then the 70 to 200 will be a brilliant option and addition to your equipment. So it depends on your situation, what you need, whether you need one or both, but I highly praise up the Nikon lens lineup. They're doing a great job on making things internally zooming, which I think is wonderful, stops all that dust and rubbish getting into your lenses, and the fact that they make them a little lighter to carry and certainly a lot faster in autofocus is fantastic. Who doesn't want those things? So well done Nikon on that new item. I think we've got a lot of exciting things to come in the future as well.